by Attorney Jim Matthews. We were previously in court October 24th, where the defendant pled guilty to an amended count 1, assault, a felony of the 4th degree, as well as counts number count number 4, OBI, a felony of the 4th degree, as well as count 6, stopping after an accident, a misdemeanor of the 1st degree. This case was then referred for an updated pre-sentence report and victim impact statement, and we're set for sentencing here today. Thank you.
Mr. Matthews.
Thank you, Your Honor. At the time of the change of plea, we did indicate to the court that there would be a joint recommendation between the parties for 18 months in prison, credit for any time served. Mr. Sheehan has recently been speaking to Aaron Mayer at my office and does wish to request that the court place him on community control and get him some much needed help for his issues with drugs and alcohol. There are a couple of options that Aaron had presented that Lake Geauga would be willing to consider him depending on the outcome of today's hearing, and also that Alpha House in the city of Oberlin would be willing to consider accepting him. We would hope, though, that if the court does not find Mr. Sheehan amenable to community control, that the court consider a sentence of no more than 18 months in prison, Your Honor. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Sheehan, what do you want to tell me?
Your Honor, good morning, Your Honor.
Morning. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Your Honor, I wrote this letter. I put a lot of time and effort into this, a lot of feeling and emotions, too.
It's a different letter than the one I gave you.
Good.
Your Honorable Judge, I come to you today claiming full responsibility for my actions the night of my arrest and all the past offenses. I understand in the past I have tried to manipulate the truth and even tried to, but unsuccessfully lie to you. I have done a lot of growing up since then. I know now that I don't have all the answers, and my best decision making has gotten me right in front of you, back in front of you today. Your Honor, I am not here to try to give you some long drawn out excuse for what I have done. I'm here to apologize to you, the community, and most of all, the officers from that night. I am learning that honesty is the biggest attribute that I can have to live by to change my life around. The biggest truth that I have came to is if I don't find some person, place, or thing to teach me about how to fight my drug addiction and alcoholism, I am surely going to die from my disease. That night, I admit and take full responsibility for mixing my alcohol with prescription drugs and other illegal drugs and driving very reckless and endangering the lives of others and myself. I am ashamed of my actions of that night. I am embarrassed for treating public officials the way I did, and now realizing that they were just protecting the community and myself by doing their jobs to the fullest of their abilities. For that, I owe them more than just merely an apology. I also owe the victims and the city of Willoughby and Eastlake and you the most sincere apology from the bottom of my heart for the harm I caused everyone involved. I cannot keep living like this way, Your Honor. I am willing to go to any lengths to obtain sobriety in my life, but I cannot do that on my own, Your Honor. And that is a fact. We both can agree upon that. I am pleading and begging the courts to save my life and give me a chance to gain some real sobriety. I am willing to do any programs or jump through any hoops or obstacles that you deem necessary to reach a chance at a long-term sobriety. I know now, without your help, Your Honor, I will surely die from my disease, without a doubt.
Where are you living now?
In Menor, sir.
Where at?
I was staying at 7332 Sharon Lee.
And who lives there?
I was staying there by myself.
Who owns that place?
My father.
Where do your parents live?
7993 Heather Glen Drive, Menor, Ohio.
Okay. What's your relationship with them lately?
Oh, great. Your Honor, my family's very supportive of me just doing good. They just want honor. Your Honor, they're just sick of the nonsense. They're just sick of this cycle. It's just like, Your Honor, they just want me to put a stop to this. I'm getting too old for this. I'm 30 years old. I've been doing this since I was a child. It's just.
Why is that?
Your Honor, I have an alcohol and drug problem. I'm being honest with you. It's just.
Well, I mean, that's abundantly apparent to me.
Yes,
While
sir.
it hasn't been to you for a long time, it is to me.
Yes, sir.
And you've been coming here for what, 4 or 5 years now?
Too long.
Okay.
Yes, Your Honor.
So what have you done about that?
When I'm on the outside, I do. Mental health is very important to me. I go to Signature Health in Willoughby on my own free will. I'm not court ordered to do this. I go to Signature Health in Willoughby willingly. I'm on the MAP program. I start IOP. I even go to AA meetings. I probably do about 2 or 3 a week, but I try. If I can, I'll go to 5, but that's if I can get a ride. It's more. I like the atmosphere.
What medication did they have you on?
Where in the jail?
It's Signature.
Signature, they had me on Boost bars 3 times a day. They had me on Seroquel 3 times a day, Remron at night, Effexor, and Suboxone.
Okay.
And Suboxone, of course, I was in the MAP program, Your Honor.
How long have you been on Suboxone?
On and off for the past 5-some years.
What's the plan to get off Suboxone? Is there a plan to get off?
Yes, Your Honor. Of course, I would wean myself off that, and that's the goal. It would be, say, if I was taking a whole dose a day, I would work my way off of that. I would be half the dose and then slowly work off of that and work.
Is that what the doctors are telling you?
Mm-hmm. They told me that usually instead of, it's an 8 milligram strip, so you would work your way down to like 4, half of that dose for a week or 2, and then after that, it's down to 2 milligrams, and then it's cold turkey after that. And you're completely off that.
So somewhere in this PSR, I was reading that you claim that you were sober for 10 months.
Yes, Your Honor.
Is that right?
Yes, Your Honor.
And then you went off when you went out this night in Willoughby?
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, so what did you do to stay sober for 10 months?
I was going to Signature Health, and I was going to AA on my own free will, Your Honor. And really, AA was really keeping me sober. It's just, I figured out it's really the people that are around me. It's like I had sober circle around me. I had people I could call at any time if I felt like I wanted to drink or use, and that was helping me a lot. It just, Your Honor, it just took a lot that day. That day was a terrible day. It took a fight with the family and the argument.
What was that fight about?
It was some dumb stuff. It was about, what was it? It was so dumb. It was about getting a job, at moving, stuff like that. It was about life stuff. But then after I left that, I de-escalated the situation and left the house, because that's how I deal with stuff now, Your Honor. If I get in an argument with somebody, the best way my coping mechanism is I leave, because that's the that's how I deal with stuff nowadays, and that's the best way to resolve everything. So I left. And I had called my ex-girlfriend, and of course, I tell her everything, and now we get into an argument over something dumb. It was so dumb. I just ended up leaving, and I called my friend Josh that lives out here, and I was like, I just like, what's the point in staying? I made it 10 months, Your Honor. I made it 10 months. I was doing so good. Everybody was so proud of me, Your Honor. I was proud of myself. I'm so mad at myself because I feel like I gave that up. I feel like I gave it up, but it's everybody in sobriety is telling me that's nothing. That's okay, Ricky. It happens. There's nothing to get back on the horse, and you could gain that back. I mean, I haven't had almost a year sober in a long time, and that felt really good. And
when you were going to you said you were going to AA during this period?
yes, sir.
Did you have a sponsor?
No, Your Honor.
Why not?
Because I was just getting rides to certain places, but I was working on getting a sponsor, but I didn't get a sponsor yet, Your Honor. But I was staying sober, so I was doing very well. But the sponsor was the next step, Your Honor.
At one point in your past, you were working for your parents' business, right?
Yes, sir, Your Honor.
And what business was that?
They owned a business. It's a convenience store, gas station.
Where's that?
156th and Lakeshore. And
why did you stop working for them?
That's the one spot they just sold it, and they got a place closer. It's a Sunoco gas station now. They own a Sunoco on 250th.
And Euclid Avenue?
Yes, Your Honor. It's by the high rises, and I work there whenever. I get hours whenever I want. So
what was the argument about you getting a job?
Because they have so many employees. They don't always need me there, but I show up as much as I can.
Okay.
You get what I mean?
What is it you want to do in the long run?
Your Honor, I went to downtown. When I went to Menor High School, I went to Willoughby Tech, if you know what that is.
Yeah.
I did 2 years in a shop. I'm an auto mechanic. I like working on cars. It's one of my things. Your Honor, I'm not a dumb individual. I just do dumb things sometimes, and I apologize for that. And it's not me. It's the alcohol and drugs. But I was working on cars. I love working on cars. I could do anything on a car. Besides that, Your Honor, I started teaching myself other trades. I started teaching myself how to work on computers. I can build computers from scratch. You can give me all the parts. I can build a computer. I probably built about 50 computers in my life. I started teaching myself how to work on. Started teaching myself HVAC on a house, even on a commercial building. I taught myself this. It's not very hard. I actually taught myself this stuff. I installed a commercial AC unit before on top of a building and installed it, put the conduit, ran the conduit.
Where at?
It was on that Lakeshore at the convenience store.
So if you can do all this stuff, why don't you do all this stuff and quit hawking candy bars and gas?
I just need, yes, Your Honor. Great point. No, 100%. I thought about, what is that, Auburn Career Tech? it's like you can pick up a trade in 4 to 5, 6 months. That was my goal. I want to go to a trade school where I can pick up a trade in 6 months. Because a man's not trying to hire you nowadays if you're not certified in nothing. If you're not certified in nothing, a man doesn't really want to hire you. It's like a man doesn't really want you working on his car unless you're certified. You know what you're
Well,
doing.
I mean,
you
that
know?
makes sense, doesn't it?
Yes, it does, Your Honor.
Okay, so, let's see.
And I also started teaching myself how to work on, I started doing heating furnaces, the hot water tanks, soldering hot water tanks, all the plumbing in the house, all the electrical, all the breaker boxes, all the, the electrical stuff and all the wiring and stuff.
Where have you done that?
I did it in a couple of houses. I was helping my friend refurbish houses. So it's off the record, you want to say, because I'm not certified. So I was doing it. He was paying me under the table, but I was doing stuff like that in a house. I was fixing houses, refurbishing houses with one of my friends that was actually buying houses and flipping them. Yes, sir.
You've got, what do you got?
I never knew life could be, it just started looking so good. I never knew the good part could be so good. When I was 10 months sober, I started actually seeing that, Your Honor. I never seen that part. I've always seen the bad part. I never seen the good part, and I finally started seeing the good part, and it started opening my eyes. I don't want to live like that no more. I really don't. It's not a way of life. My family didn't raise me like that. My family doesn't want me live like that, period, They're great people, they're good people,
Okay, so you were first here in 17, so it's 7 years ago.
2017?
You were on intervention in October of 17. That didn't end well.
Yeah, I was just a
Ended up
child.
in prison for about 14 months, 13 months. Let's see. And you got a bunch of stuff right off the bat. Bunch of stuff in Painesville Municipal Court. Let's see. And then about 3 years ago, two different OVIs, plus vandalism and obstruction,
Yes, Your Honor.
got you about 18 months in prison.
Yes, it did, Your Honor.
Get out in May of 23, May 11th. And you got disorderly May 22nd, criminal trespass June 20th, June 21, criminal trespass July 3rd, resisting. September 14th, domestic violence. February 26th, disorderly conduct. And this stuff in March. So you're creating quite a footprint.
Yes, I am, Your Honor.
At 30, right?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay.
Had a lot of growing up to do. I really do.
Now, when you came here, let's see when this was. You've been in jail 194 days. Is that right, Kim?
That's correct, Your Honor.
Okay. So you were here on April 16th for a pretrial. And and there was a motion to modify bond for you to get out, and I denied it. Do you remember that?
Yes, Your Honor, and I apologize for the way I acted that day.
Why were you acting like that?
It's just, my dad wasn't doing so good. He's still not doing so good. It's his third, he just had open heart surgery. He's recovering 1.5 years now. He's having a lot of chest pains. He's not doing so good. It's his third heart attack. It's just, I don't want my worst fear to come true, Your Honor. I don't want to be locked up and something happens to my dad and I'm not there. It would hurt me so much. And that's why I acted the way I did. I acted out of anger because that's all. I just wanted to be there with my dad. And I'm sorry the way I acted. That was childish, and I apologize for the way I acted that day.
Okay. Ms. Wood?
Thank you, Your Honor. This was an incident that occurred in the city of Eastlake. The defendant operated a vehicle. He had a passenger, Josh Connors, in his car. He was driving and struck a car driven by Kyle Kia. He caused some damage to Kyle's vehicle. He continued driving. His vehicle turned left and got stuck in the grass area of a business, where then the defendant proceeded to leave the scene of the area. Several bystanders saw what had happened and pointed the officers into the direction of the defendant, who left on foot. The defendant physically fought with the officers on the side of the road. They fought with him to get him in the backseat of the cruiser, and then when they arrived at the Eastlake Police Department, he continued to fight with the officers. He caused physical harm to the officers, and then he continued to be uncooperative while he was at the Eastlake Police Department getting booked in. He caused a risk of serious physical harm to himself, to his front seat passenger, to the public, the other people driving on the road that night. There has been a rehabilitation failure. The defendant has been placed on community control. Prior to this, he violated, he was sent to prison. He has 2 prior prison numbers in his past. He's continued to pick up new criminal offenses even after he's been released from prison. The defendant stated that he has substance abuse, drug and alcohol issues, and he has refused to apply the treatment tools that he has learned by attending Signature Health and by attending AA meetings, because he continued to pick up new offenses. Originally, we did have a joint recommendation for 18 months, but since the defendant no longer wishes to join in on that recommendation, the state is recommending a higher prison term than 18 months. We would defer to the court if the court does impose prison on the appropriate prison number. I'm also recommending $500 in restitution to Kyle Kia. That was the vehicle that the defendant struck, because he paid $500 towards his deductible. There's also a mandatory fine on the OVI as well, and a mandatory driver's license suspension.
What is the fine?
On the OVI?
Yeah.
A mandatory fine of $1,350 up to $10,500.
And the suspension, is it 3 at least, or is it more than that?
It
5?
is at least 3.
3 to life?
Yes.
Okay. Where have you been to treatment before?
I've been to Matt Talbot in Parma, and I completed that. It was a 60-day program. Been to treatment, Your Honor, I think only a couple times. If you consider JTP, I did JTP a couple times. And then Sky Point Recovery in Akron, I think. I think it was Akron. I'm pretty sure it was Akron. Only been to recovery about 3 times, Your Honor.
So why don't you follow up with that stuff once you do it?
What was that, Your Honor?
Why don't you follow up? Why don't you figure out what you have to do based on what you learned when you were in treatment?
Yes, Your Honor. I was doing pretty good once I got out of, when I got out of Sky Point Recovery. That's how I made it. That's how I made it almost a year sober. I made it 10 months sober. That was after recovery. That was, I forgot which judge. I think it was Judge Turbetz that sent me to rehab, and I went to Sky Point, Your Honor. And after I got out, I was almost a year sober. So treatment definitely did affect me, and I used the tools that I learned from rehab, and I used it in my life, and it did help me a lot, and I was doing good. It's just, I just gotta find more coping mechanisms, so when I do get in a stress situation like that, to call somebody. Instead of going out and drinking or doing drugs, I should call somebody. And that day I should have called somebody, Your Honor. I made a huge mistake, and I messed up very badly, and I apologize. And I feel very terrible about this. And I cannot stress that enough.
All right, I've reviewed the pre-sentence report, this one and the old ones, going back to 21 and 17. I've considered what Mr. Sheehan has had to say, what counsel has had to say. I've considered what was once a joint recommendation that is no more, so. And I've considered all the provisions in 29, 29, 11, 12, and 13. I'm going to put you on community control for 5 years. You're going to serve 230 days in jail with credit for 194. And such time as a spot is available at Alpha House, and you're going to enter into and complete the Alpha House program. And the remaining days will be suspended. You're going to complete that program successfully.
Yes, Your Honor.
And they're going to make recommendations for you after you leave, and you're going to follow those recommendations.
Yes, Your Honor.
You continue your mental health treatment
Yes, Your
that you
Honor.
currently have and follow those recommendations. You're to attend at least 4 AA meetings a week
Yes, Your Honor.
and obtain a sponsor,
Yes, Your Honor.
obtain and maintain full employment.
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, you talked about a lot of things that you could do, so figure out what you're going to do and do it. Get away from the gas station part-time business. You're to see only one doctor and one dentist and one pharmacy for medication. You're to take your medication only as is prescribed. You're going to sign releases for probation to get your records.
Yes, Your Honor.
I'm going to suspend your license, but after it's over, you're going to get a valid driver's license. You're going to pay restitution. Is it Daniel Kia?
Yes,
In the amount
Kyle
of,
Kia.
huh?
Kyle.
Kyle?
Yeah, Kyea is the last name.
Isn't that what I said, Kia? Or did I say something else?
I think you said Daniel.
What's the name, Kyle?
Kyle is the first name.
Kia, okay. Kyle Kia, in the amount of $500.
Yes, Your Honor.
And you're going to pay the cost and supervision fees. As far as the terms, Ms. Randallson, anything else?
No, Your Honor, how long will a driver's suspension be?
I'm getting there.
Oh,
I'm
okay,
getting there
sorry.
next. On the OVI, there's a $1,350 mandatory fine and a 4-year driver's license suspension. And that will be effective March 5th of '24.
Yes, Your Honor.
You understand all the terms?
Yes, I do, Your Honor.
If you violate the terms, the state will file a motion to terminate your community control. If I find you violated, what is it, 18 plus 30 potentially in prison? Ms. Wood?
Yes.
Okay, you potentially face 48 months in prison, you understand that?
Yes, I do, Your Honor.
And then after you get out, you might be on post-release control for 2 years under the parole authority with conditions, and if you violate, they could send you back to prison for up to 9 months for each violation. If it's a new felony, you could get an additional consecutive prison sentence for the violation, the maximum of which will be the greater of 12 months of the time left under post-release control. The items subject to forfeiture are forfeited, the remaining counts are dismissed. Anything else, Ms. Wood?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Matthews?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
I would say, Ricky, at this point, it's like now or never for you.
Thank you, Your Honor, for this chance. I really greatly appreciate
Well,
it.
do
You have a
something
great